Welcome in to another episode of House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and the Rams win in in fashion in overtime, 29-23 over the Colts. What a great win for the Rams, especially after getting out to a 23 to nothing halftime lead, and then getting a touchdown from Puka Nacua in overtime to win it. It was a great thing to see for the Rams, especially after scoring on four of the first five possessions, and just it was a tale of two halves for the Rams. They get out to the 23 to nothing halftime lead, and then have to see the Colts come right back and score 23 unanswered points in the second half to tie it up. I thought one of the things that was huge for the Rams was seeing Brett Maher missed two field goals. Those two were huge for the Rams. I think if he doesn't miss those two field goals, if he makes at least one of them, we probably don't get an overtime game here. But it was just great seeing the gutsy performance from Stafford today. Playing with a bad hip in the third quarter, he gets injured. On a rush by one of the Colts defender. It was clean, but you could see him limping the whole way for after that for the second half, and just seeing the determination from this team. They even when they saw the Colts tie it up, they were still uh you know fighting hard. And Stafford, just a gutsy performance in the second half. 27 of 40 for 319 yards, one touchdown, one interception. I thought the big difference as well was just seeing the running attack for the Rams get going in this game. That was part of the reason they got up 23 to nothing. I thought, Kyron Williams with 25 carries and 103 yards and two scoring touchdowns. And then Ronnie Rivers, I thought, was huge in this game as well. Not only carrying the ball with the 9 carries for 49 yards, but I like what I saw from Kyron Williams and Ronnie Rivers in terms of their blocking, especially when some of the free rushers came, free. They stepped up and had big blocks to give Matthew Stafford some time to get, the passes away, especially after he got injured. Some of those blocks were huge, but, outstanding, effort tonight from the Rams. And this is huge. Now they're 2-2. It's something we kind of talked about on our preview. I was totally wrong in terms of in terms of picking the Colts in this game. I know we'll have Gilbert on tomorrow, and we'll kind of discuss it where we kind of went wrong here. But in terms of how they came out playing, the Rams did a great job. I thought Sean McVay's play calling was way better in this game, especially when you look at what they did in the first half, as I talked about earlier. Scoring on four of their five possessions. The only one that didn't score was the missed field goal at the end of the first half. I thought the other thing that was really good, seeing the defense was, confusing Anthony Richardson in the first half. I thought Raheem Morris uh, play, uh, did a great job of play calling in this game. The other thing that I thought was really, was what ended up happening in this game, especially in the second half for this defense, was they were on the field too long and they ran out of gas in the second half, and you could see it. That's why it allowed, and also Shane Steichen made the necessary adjustments. He put Anthony Richardson in a good spot to be able to uh, bring the Colts back. But and I saw a lot of people kind of questioning some of the calls in the second half for Sean McVay. He was playing a little conservative, especially up 23 to nothing. But you have to try and kick those field goals at the end of the half and then early in the third quarter. But unfortunately, Maher missed both of those kicks. And I think that allowed the Colts to kind of stay in this game and then eventually tie it in the fourth quarter. But the play calling from Sean McVay was a lot better. And if you look at too, like they didn't have to punt until the second half. I think you had two punts at the end of the fourth quarter, so that was really good play calling from Sean McVay. And I know a lot of people were nervous there towards the end for Ram fans, especially when the Colts tied the game. But you get this win and now you move on. You're in a good spot in the season now, 2-2 heading into a big game against Philadelphia, who's now 4-0 after their win over the Washington Commanders. They haven't looked as good as they have last season, but they always struggle against Washington, so that wasn't a surprise. And again, I got to go back to, I haven't even mentioned his name, Puka Nacua. He's the one that wins it for the Rams. He scores his first touchdown of his career, and it comes, you know, on a winning, play in overtime, 22-yard touchdown catch. And just seeing his maturation playing with a bad rib or oblique, I should say, has been great. Seeing this kid just grow up, in the first 4 games. He's already shattering records as he continues. It seems like they bring it up every game, and he's like, oh, he's ahead of every guy, before after 4 games. I'm sure it's going to be the same after the fifth game against Philadelphia, and then we'll see if Cooper Cup is back for. He's already they've started the process of getting him back. They're going to activate the 21-day window for him, so we'll see if he's back. But being at 2-2 gives the Rams, a chance to not have to push him. You know, part of what we talked about in terms of what we wanted to see from the Rams was, hey, can you get to 2-2 after this gauntlet of tough games to start of the season, and then kind of move on and see where you're at the trade deadline, and then kind of see if you need to bring in somebody to help out, at different levels of this on both offense and defense. So that'll be something to keep an eye on now. Now you have, the Eagles and then the Cardinals. If you can, like as we talked about, if you can be 3-3 by then, you're in a good spot. But just a great effort today by the Rams, on a short week. As I talked about, it's always hard for teams going from the West Coast into the Midwest and playing at that 10 a.m. game is always tough. It was great seeing them get up 23-0. One thing you don't want to see is them giving up a lead as big as the one that they had in this game. But it's going to happen. I thought a big thing was Stafford getting hurt. I think that changed the momentum for the Rams and that allowed the Colts and their fans to get into this game. Hopefully, Matthew Stafford is going to be okay with that hip injury, as the broadcast was saying that's it. It sounded like it was a hip injury. It looked like it was something that was really bothering him. He was limping out there, especially down up and down the sidelines, trying to keep himself warm. He never sat down. But we'll see what the prognostics, what they say is his injury. But he looked good, and he played a gutsy game today. I just wanted to point out as well, Aaron Donald with another huge game for that defense. He had 4 tackles, 1 sack, and 2 QB hits on Anthony Richardson. It's just great seeing him back there. He makes a big difference. If they can keep him healthy the whole season, that'll be good. I thought Akilo Witherspoon played a great game as well. He's been one of the best players on defense for them, especially in the secondary. I don't think the defense played badly. I think, we're running out of gas towards in the second half. And Brahim Morris again, man. I hope he gets a shot at a head coaching job, just because he did a great job in this game. But there's a lot to take away from this game. You're just happy leaving this game with the win. You're 2-2 now. You're in a good spot going forward. And as you prepare to take on the Philadelphia Eagles at home, it's always tough, especially when you start 3 of your first 4 games on the road, to be able to be 2-2. And now things kind of, after this Eagles game, it should kind of ease up for the Rams. You take this win and you move on, as we talked about. Man, like, it's hard to win in the NFL. Last season the Rams were kind of in this spot, and then things kind of fell apart for them. Everybody got injured. Hopefully, they can stay healthy. I thought another thing too that I almost forgot to point out was the offensive line. They did a great job. I know they allowed a couple of sacks, but I thought moving Dotson in at guard and then moving Joe Noteboom to left tackle was a really good move. It worked out. They ran the ball really good. That was one of my keys that I wanted to see, was them run the ball. When you get 34 carries, that was outstanding. That was something that I had, called for if they were going to win this game, and sure enough, they did that. Stafford's still throwing the ball a lot, but he had to win this game, especially once he went into overtime. But finishing with 319 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. I know people keep pointing to the interceptions that he's had the last three games, but you know what? He's a gunslinger. He's gonna get the ball out, and he really gutted out this win for the Rams. He stayed in the game, especially in the second half and overtime. I thought he was huge in overtime. And I know he gets a lot of flack for his interceptions, but I thought he was a difference maker, especially in overtime, getting some of those passes, avoiding some of the blitzes. Um, just outstanding effort today from Matthew Stafford. But when I'm not gonna take very long. We're gonna be on. We'll have the recap episode with Gilbert. He'll join me on Monday, and we'll go over some of the things. But please let us know. Submit your questions. We'll try to answer them, especially after this big win. How you're feeling, especially after how nerve wracking that was towards the end, and being able to pull that win in overtime, especially after leading 23-0. I'm sure a lot of Ram fans' nerves were were on ease with how this game ended in the fourth quarter, and then Ben Scarani calling the coin toss, and then winning the coin toss for the Rams. I thought was another huge thing. But yeah, submit your questions. Let us know, how you're feeling, especially being 2-2 at this point in the season, with the gauntlet of games that you had to start the season. But we'll be on, like I said, on Monday. Send us your questions. Just a really good win. You should be really happy. You're 2-2, and then the Rams are coming home to host the Philadelphia Eagles. But that's all I have for you today. I know there's a lot of other games going on right now, so not a lot of people are on here. That was one of my things, was like, oh, are we gonna get engagement, because it's right after the game and there's still a lot of games going on. So, but I appreciate you guys, the ones who check in after this is published. And like I said, if you're checking this out, give us your thoughts. Let us know how you're feeling. We'll love to hear from you. We'll love to get your comments on our recap show with Gilbert. But just a really good win on the road. That's two road wins as well for the Rams, and that's going to go a long way to continuing to see whether this is going to be a successful season. And as long as you can keep Matthew Stafford healthy, that'll go a long way to getting into the playoffs. But for right now, that's all you can ask for, it is to continue to win. With that said, that is going to end my time here. Thank you guys for joining me on this uh, post game show as the Rams hold off the Colts 29-23. Ram fans, enjoy this win. You deserve it. Have a good rest of your day.